Hey, it's Ryan from Modula Racks, and today I want to introduce to you these Smart Bar crossbars. These are a universal set of crossbars for the roof of most vehicles that have either a raised rail or a flush rail. Behind me here, we have this vehicle that has what's called a flush rail. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to what they will fit. We're going to take you through those exceptions, then we're going to get into unboxing this and installing it on the car. So here we have a good example of a raised rail. Raised rail means that you can actually fit your hand under it. It's not completely flat mounted to the entire roof. These Smart Bars will grab onto this style of rail as long as it's not round, as long as it's got a fairly sharp edge that the hook can latch onto. And again, we'll show you that in a minute. So when we mentioned that these are universal, but there are some exceptions, we'd like to show you what some of those exceptions are. This is the Nissan Frontier with a set of raised roof rails, but these ones are round. Therefore, that means there's no sharp edge for the claw that's on these racks to grab onto. So we'll show you those so you can kind of get an idea. Here's another example of a roof. This is a roof track, not a roof rail. If there was no crossbars in it, it might look like this was something you could attach to, or you'd think on the inside you might be able to hook the hook on the universal bars to it, but that is not the case. These are designed again for something specific to the vehicle. If you have a track mounted roof rail with a flush outside, this also will not work. Okay, here we have what is considered the most common exception to what is compatible with the multi-fit bars, and that is a roof rail like this one that is flush on the outside edge. If you don't have any sort of indent or hard groove that they can grab onto, they will not work. So this is a great example of a set of roof rails that will not work with the multi-fit bars. Okay, so now that we've shown you the different types of roof bars that are out there and hopefully made it fairly clear on the ones that these will work on, let's open them up and let's show you how to install them on this flush rail bar on this BMW behind me. All right, so they come mostly pre-assembled. These are an aluminum set of crossbars. They are not steel, so they're not going to rust. You have 2 crossbars and 2 feet on each crossbar. We're going to cut the zap strap, and then the last thing you have is filler strip for all of the C-channel underneath. Wherever the foot is not, you want to make sure that's full of the filler strip to make sure you cut down on any wind noise you might possibly get. Okay, so now that we have these out of the box, really simple install. Actually comes mostly pre-assembled. We've moved the feet out a little ways, the hooks are already in it. So all we're going to do is we're going to put this up on the vehicle, and we're going to put basically this sharp edge that's here is going to go on the inside of the rail, and then we're going to tighten up this hook using the Allen key here, and that's what's going to secure it. Before we do that, we need to adjust our top bar here. We want to make sure it's fairly even so it's not off-centered, so I'm just going to look up the center of the vehicle. So now that we're centered, all we're going to do is take our Allen key that comes with the kit. We're going to turn it clockwise, and we're going to keep doing that until this little hook, what it's going to do, it's already getting tight. So now it's hooked onto the lip, and this is why you need that lip on your flush rails. If it's smooth, there's nothing for this hook to clamp onto. So once it's on there, we just tighten this up. Nice and snug, you don't need to go too tight. And now, I've got this one snugged on both sides, so now you can see that this bar, you want to give it a good shake front to back, side to side, and you know now this is not going anywhere. If for any reason this is still loose or sloppy anywhere, or slips off the crossbar, you do not want to use it. You should be able to shake and rattle your whole vehicle without anything kind of moving, and that's all it takes to get those on there. So the last piece is putting our cover on there, so we're going to hide our bolt so nobody tampers with it, with the included locks. Okay, so you might find that the lock core is not in the faceplate. If that's the case, make sure all of these are called tumblers. These are the little bits on top of the lock. Make sure they're facing up. If they're facing up, you can basically slide this in. Now that's not in all the way. To get it in all the way, you need to insert the key into the tumbler, give it a good hard push. When you give it a good hard push, then you're going to rotate it, and on the back side there's a little clip, and it's not out right now, so I'm going to turn it and push a little bit more. I don't know if you saw that, but this little clip that I can push in here, I'll push it in so it's out of the way. You want that to pop out. There's a little click, and once that's popped out, this key will only turn 90 degrees in either direction. So once that's in far enough that this little clip has popped out, you've got the lock core properly installed. And all that has to do is you're going to want this little knob facing horizontal. There's two little rods that go into holes under here. You're just going to make sure they fit in, push the whole thing into position. Takes a little bit of effort to get it into the right place, and once it's all the way in, you turn that and the key comes out. The key will not come out when it's in the unlocked position. So I'm pulling on that and it won't come out. Once it's all the way in, that is now secured on your vehicle and ready for your accessories. So as we mentioned before, you have this filler strip, and it's designed to go in the C channel on the bottom side of the crossbar. So once you have the crossbar installed, that's going to have the width of your feet in the right place you want. You want to cut this to the exact length of the open channel. If you have open channel on this side of the foot as well, on the outbound side, you want to fill up that piece as well, so you're going to have to cut an extra little chunk to go in there if your vehicle is narrower than this one. Once you have them cut to size, basically you're just going to pop it under, up against the foot, and you're just going to work it in till it clips into place and make sure it's nice and smooth all the way along. So just a little bit of a patience and just working it along till you've got all of that channel filled with that plastic. All right, so there you have it. That is the Modula Smart Bar installed on a factory flush rail on this BMW X3. A couple of tips for you. We've got the strip inserted in the channel on the underside. That is going to cut down on the noise significantly. However, one of the big differences you're going to find between a universal bar like this and say one of the name brand factory specific racks like a Thule, a Yakima, or a Rhino that cost 5 times as much, is these will make a little bit more wind noise than those ones which run virtually silently. Now, one thing you can do to try and cut down if you are experiencing wind noise, if you have a glass sunroof like this vehicle, glass sunroofs provide little to no sound insulation, but they often do have a fabric cover. If you move that fabric cover over the sunroof, you will find it will cut down on that sound significantly. The other thing you can do is position this front bar as far back on the vehicle as works for whatever you're carrying. The further back it is, the better chance it has of getting out of the way of the wind that's traveling over the windshield that can create some of that wind noise. If you have any other question about Fitment or anything else related to these bars, please do let us know, either in the comments below or reaching out to us directly at modularracks.com.